Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. My name is Dalton and today we are here to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, this won't be a spoiler review for the movie because I know that there's some people who have not seen it yet, and I'm not considering anything that was revealed in the 2017 movie a spoiler. So I will be talking about things from that version of the film that also appear in this film. And to me, it's not a spoiler because that movie came out already. Also, so really quick, I know a few months ago I said I'd be doing a reaction to the Snyder Cut. The reason why I didn't is because at that time it was going to be a mini-series and I would have reacted to the mini-series, but since it was a 4-hour movie and it was the way we were supposed to see it, and I'd been waiting so long for the movie to come out, I've been waiting like over 5 years for it, I really just wanted to turn off the lights and experience it how it was meant to be seen, and it would have made for a poor reaction video quality, so that's why I didn't do that. For those of you who've been wondering like why this movie's been such a big deal, like why people have been really passionate about this film, I'll give you the quick Spark Notes version of it. So basically, back in 2016 when Zack Snyder was shooting his Justice League movie, Warner Brothers was very not happy with the fact that they kind of allowed themselves to have him continue making the movie due to the poor reception to Batman vs. Superman, a movie that got poor reception because they made him cut 30 minutes out of it anyway. Moving along. So they hired people to sort of supervise him on set. They kind of made him make some changes while shooting. They even brought on Joss Whedon while he was on the tail end of the post-production process to rewrite some of the scenes. And then in early 2017, with the movie scheduled to come out that November, tragedy struck his family and his daughter took her own life. He then stepped away from the project to go focus on that, and Warner Brothers took the advantage of him leaving the project to have Joss Whedon not only rewrite some of the scenes, but to rewrite and redirect a lot of that movie. Some of that directing included shooting brand new scenes, and some of that just including re-editing and recoloring and basically just all around changing the stuff that Zack had previously shot. And the result was a very weird mixed bag, and he even removed Junkie XL from the score of that film, brought in Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman's one of the greatest music composers of all time, but he wasn't given very much long to work with as Warner Brothers was adamant on not changing the release date. So people came into the movie, was very disappointed to see that it was clearly not a Zack Snyder movie, and called for #release the Snyder Cut, which is what this is. And after years, Warner Brothers has finally agreed to let Zack Snyder release his version of that movie, which we were supposed to see in 2017, and that's what it is. It is a 4-hour epic, and I don't mean epic in terms of like, that was epic, man. I mean like Lord of the Rings style long-form storytelling, like the Ten Commandments back in the day, or Cleopatra, like those type of just long-form stories with deep mythologies. This is that type of movie, which is very different from the one that we already had. And what I will say, because there's a lot of debate out there on, oh, is this the same movie? Is it not the same movie? And it really comes down to what your definition of a movie is. And for someone like me, an independent filmmaker, granted on a micro-budget level, and let's face it, I'm an amateur here, to someone like me, a movie is a culmination of a lot of things. It's a script, it's actors, it's a director, it's cinematography, it's music, it's editing, it's all of those things. And basically how I would put it is, this film has the same story, general story, of the one we saw in 2017. But that in no way means that it's the same movie, because it's not. Something that I was kind of surprised to see in the movie is how much of the original version was actually shot by Zack, because I enjoyed it more in this version of it due to the context surrounding the scenes and how they were previously mishandled and misedited in the previous version. And for anyone who wants to know about filmmaking and the impact of editing and context and just overall story beats, it'd be a great lesson to watch the original version of this movie and then watch this movie and see how scenes were used in one context versus another, and how that can dramatically change the impact and emotional beat of a scene. Or in a whole movie, really. I think this film is not only a huge improvement over the 2017 theatrical release, I think it's really, really good. This film really gave room, the 4-hour runtime of the film really gives room for the characters to breathe, and not only just that, but it allows the story to more take its own shape and naturally progress things and how they would happen and not seem random or coincidental like the previous version did. And the reshoots on the 2017 version of the film were very obvious because, Henry Cavill, the famous mustache gate, you had the horrible cartoon mouth that Henry Cavill had. You had Ben Affleck, who had unfortunately just dramatically gained a bunch of weight because those reshoots weren't planned. And just all of the performances in general they weren't in it as much as they were when they filmed it that first time, because they kind of believed in the original vision that Zack had. So all of the performances in this movie are top-notch because of it, and you get to see a lot of natural progression from these characters that we've seen before, and then complete arcs for characters that we've been introduced to. For example, Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman v Superman was sort of broken at the end of his moral compass, and in this film, he's starting to succumb back to his old life of learning to work with people, learning to act on faith and not reason. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, who up until this point in the DCU chronologically, just came back in BVS to help out humanity, and she is starting to realize the symbol and impact that she has on other people. You see this with really touching sequences of her with, younger female characters in the movie. You see this with interactions with her and Alfred and Cyborg and a bunch of things that just we did not get the luxury of seeing the first time around. Cyborg. They did this character so dirty in the original theatrical release. Zack Snyder said that he's the heart of the movie, and he wasn't lying. A lot of this, the emotional impact of this movie revolves around that character and Ray Fisher's performance, and he does an excellent job. The relationship between Cyborg and his father and how that affects his relationship moving forward with the team was really interesting to see. And for Ezra Miller's Flash character, you see the type of person he is. He's someone who wants to just fit in and be normal, but with the basic understanding of who he is as a person and his abilities, he's anything but that. And so you see that type of personality clash with some of the other members of the group, and because he's more of the comedic relief of the film, he even struggles to find himself not only within his own world that he lives in on his own, but also the world of the team. And you didn't get any of this the first time around. You just got like a rushed, mixed match batch of a movie. And while there are some things I liked about the theatrical version, I would sacrifice all of that for everything we got in this movie. And look, everyone knows I'm a big Superman guy. Superman is unbelievably awesome in this film. His resurrection is handled much better, and the way he interacts with the third act of the film, amazing. Amazing stuff. And they even, you could really watch Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Ultimate Edition, don't watch the theatrical one, and Zack Snyder's Justice League as kind of a full trilogy with that Superman character. And his story has a complete arc, and it even left room for more because obviously at the time they were going to make other movies to this. And the thing that's so funny is, the PR team with Warner Brothers, when they, mentioned the, reshoots and the rewrites way back when, was their whole thing was, they wanted a film that had more heart and more humor and, just felt more like a superhero movie. Well, I don't know what dailies they saw, because this film has a lot of heart and a lot of humor, especially heart. Like, I was surprised how much heart was in the film. And it really is a progression from Man of Steel to this film of how heroes and these godlike powers are viewed within the world and how they view themselves and how they carry out their actions. And it's really a well-told story over those three films. And yes, you have movies in between, like Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, which, hey, released the Ayer cut. I know that movie got messed with a lot too, and I think it really needs, the original version of that really needs to be seen. But those three films have a string that you can pull on that ties the heart of this franchise together. And a lot of it was just little things that were removed, that when you add these little story beats back into the film, it dramatically changes the entire scene. And their entire sequences, it's been well talked about. I'll say a scene with Cyborg and a single mother waitress, that once you see that point in the movie, everything that character does throughout the rest of the film is done under a whole new light that you see this character in that we didn't have in that original theatrical version. And I know that I'm comparing a lot of the two because obviously we're going to do that, but even on its own, this film, in my personal opinion, of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and this movie, this film is the best of the three. And I really love Man of Steel. I have a love-hate relationship with Batman v Superman because I really dislike the theatrical one, but the Ultimate Edition, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that was better. But then each time I watch that movie, it's grown on me more and more and gotten better and better. And now I retroactively like the films more because I saw where the story was going and where it ended, and I can retroactively watch the three of them and know what the story was. And the biggest compliment I can give this movie is pacing. This film is 4 hours long, and I wished it was longer. And at no point did it feel boring or dull. Like, the way it moved and the way the story progressed felt perfectly natural to the movie. And that's not something that's hard with an 80-minute movie, let alone a 4-hour movie. So the fact that they were even able to pull that pacing off is mind-blowing to me. It was astounding how they did it. With that being said, I don't think the movie's perfect either. I think it does have some flaws. I think that since it is a 4-hour movie, there are some editing things that I think sequences could have been lightly trimmed here, cut a few seconds earlier here, and that sound like nitpicks, but it happens several times over the course of a 4-hour movie to the point where it starts to be a little noticeable. There is a scene, and there are some scenes that are good, and then they just carry on too long. I don't want to get into specifics, but there's a scene with Aquaman and villagers where they start singing, and the scene started off really great, and then it just kept going, and I was like, okay, I understand the point of the scene now. Let's go. And so there's a couple instances of that. There's also a sequence in this movie that is a very well done sequence. People who've seen it will know what I'm talking about. The scene with Martha Kent and Lois Lane is an excellent scene, and there's a revelation at the end of that scene that made me freak out when I first watched it. But upon rewatch, while I freaked out at the revelation, and I think it's very cool as a fan, I think that scene has a little bit more emotional impact had that revelation been removed from the final film. I'm being very vague for those who haven't seen it, but once you see it, you'll know what I mean. Also, there's a scene with the Flash in which you get to see him save Iris West that was in one of the trailers for the film. And while I think that scene is really great, how that situation, I'm being vague again, how that situation happened for him to be able to do that, it was kind of dumb. Just the whole, people who've seen it know what I mean, but I think that setup could have been done a little bit better. And, there's little things like that that kind of make you go, whatever, and your suspension of disbelief gets a little lost. But then with this 4-hour runtime, it quickly gets you back into the movie, and I was really sucked in for a majority of it. And in terms of flaws, those are really the only ones I have. And I'm not even saying that as because, you're a fan of this stuff. It's like, yeah, but I'd also tell you what I don't like, and I just did. And the fact that I expected the movie to be good. I didn't expect it to be as good and as just overall satisfying as it was. Not just as a fan of these characters, but as a fan of storytelling. The movie isn't perfect. It's pretty damn close. And a 97 out of 100 is still an A+. I might do a spoiler review of this. It just depends on how well this video does, and if you guys would like to see me do that, I'd love to do it. So comment below if you want to see me go into more spoiler details on the film. So yeah, I highly recommend the movie. If you don't want to do it in one sitting, it does have chapter markers, although I would recommend doing it in one sitting because it was an incredible experience. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.